What if I told you that you can solar power pretty much anything for $600? And it's so easy you can set it up in 10 minutes or less. I've been using this solar setup to power my little off-grid tool shed for a couple of months now, and I absolutely love it. So I thought I'd share it with you guys. I test out a lot of things on this channel, but this is the solar setup that I genuinely use every day. Out here in my shed, I use it to power a diesel heater, a miter saw, fans, lighting, a speaker system, a shop vac, pretty much anything you can think of. But I've also used it to power things inside my house whenever I had a blackout. My Wi-Fi, my work from home setup, all sorts of stuff. This is really my go-to starter setup that I recommend to everybody who has asked me what their first solar setup should be. This setup is really simple because it really only consists of two parts: a solar panel and a power station. The solar panel that I chose is a Callsun 215 watt solar panel, and I'll explain why I chose that panel in a minute. And the power station is an EcoFlow Delta 2, which I'll also explain in a minute. I'm going to leave Amazon links to both of those products down below. So before I go into more depth about each of those parts, I want to explain what makes this so simple and so effective. And it really comes down to the power station. The solar panel just supplies power, but the power station is where the magic happens. See, with a traditional solar setup, not only do you have to have a panel, but you have to have a charge controller, an inverter, and a battery to make it all work. What's cool about a power station like the EcoFlow Delta 2 is it combines all of those things into one. It's a battery, an inverter, and a charge controller, all in one package for a pretty good price. So because of that, there's no complex wiring. You really don't have to have any kind of knowledge of anything. It's just plug and play. And the price is pretty comparable to what you get in a traditional solar setup. So I'm going to tell you more about the EcoFlow Delta 2 and why I use it, but the solar panel is actually surprisingly interesting. Not all solar panels are the same. So let's head outside and let me tell you about why I like this solar panel above all the rest. Now you might be wondering why I chose this panel for my build when there are a million different solar panels that you can buy, but there's a couple of things about this panel that set it apart from the rest. So first of all, this is an N-type 16 bus bar panel, which basically just means it's really efficient. It's not going to let any of that solar power that it brings in go to waste. In fact, it claims to be over 25% efficient, which is as good as it gets. Also, it's bifacial, meaning it can receive sunlight from the front and the back due to this really transparent material they use. It also has this really cool anti-shading technology where it's split into 4 independent panels. So even if 1 or 2 panels are shaded, the other 2 are still fully operational. And lastly, it's going to be out here for a long time, so it is IP68 waterproof. It's already been completely covered in snow a couple of times and it's still perfectly fine. It's also got a layer of tempered glass over it. And the frame around the whole thing is this nice rigid metal. I think it's going to hold up for a long time. So the solar panel costs about $240. It fluctuates in price just like everything on Amazon. Sometimes it gets closer to $300, but if you wait for a sale, you can get it for $240. So there's a couple of reasons that I decided on the EcoFlow out of all the various many options that there are out there. So firstly, it's an 1800 running watt power station. 1800 watts is enough to power pretty much anything. I couldn't really think of a reason to get more than 1800 watts. That'll also run pretty much everything that you might want to run inside your house in case of a power outage. It'll run your fridge, it'll run a coffee maker, TV, Wi-Fi, computer, all that good stuff. Secondly is the capacity. It comes default with 1024 watt hours of capacity. What's also really cool about the EcoFlow Delta 2 is it has expandable battery capacity. It's got this little port here on the side where you can plug in an expansion battery and you can double your storage. I didn't purchase that upgrade yet, but I could definitely see myself doing that in the future, so it's nice to have that option. On the front of the power station, we have 4 USB-A ports. 2 of them are fast charging ports, and we have 2 USB-C ports that are 100 watts. So there's a lot you can do with that, but on the back, it gets even better because we have multiple AC ports. We've got 2 3-prong AC ports and then 4 more 2-prong AC ports. These are all 1800 watts. You've also got your little 12-volt car charger port down here at the bottom and 2 little DC 3-amp ports. And then up here at the top, there's a little flap that has your solar input, your AC input, and a little reset button if you max it out and it has to shut down. Solar charging, by the way, can accept up to 500 watts of solar input, 15 amps. Now you're probably wondering, if this can use a 500 watt panel, why do I only use a 215 watt panel? And yeah, you got me there. That solar panel is a little underpowered. I could definitely upgrade to a 500 watt panel, and maybe I will one day in the future, but I'm in no rush to, because right now 215 watts has been perfectly fine for everything that I need. I'm not out here in my tool shed all day, every day, so when I'm not out here, 215 watts is plenty enough to recharge the battery. The only time that 215 watts really hasn't been enough for me is whenever I've used the EcoFlow to power my refrigerator in a blackout. And so for that specific situation, I do also have a 400 watt folding temporary solar panel that I can just put out on my back porch for a couple of hours and then fold it back up whenever I'm done with it. And my refrigerator uses about 300 watts, so a 400 watt panel gives me a surplus there. This 200 watt panel is not quite enough for that. But that's like a once in a year occurrence when I need to power my fridge. Otherwise, that 215 watt panel is plenty enough for everything else that I do. So my solar panel cable comes in through the wall right here, but the other end of the cable is plugged into my power station, as you can see. And then plugged into the power station is this big industrial power strip I have. People always ask me where they can get one of these, and I honestly have no idea. This was like old inventory from like an elementary school that was going to be thrown away, but I'm sure there's something like this on Amazon or somewhere. But it's got a ton of outlets, so I've got all of my rechargeable tool batteries plugged into that. My diesel heater I actually plug directly into the power station whenever I'm using it. And same goes for my miter saw and my shop vac. I have an extension cord back there that you can't see, but I just plug it in whenever I'm going to use either of those two things. I also run an extension cord to my fan over there, and my light has a cord going back there that you can't really see very well, and it's plugged into the power strip. So there's a ton of different configurations and ways that you could set this up, but that's how I use mine. I don't remember what the EcoFlow Delta 2 is priced at regularly, but if you wait around for a sale, you can get it for $350. That's what it was this most recent Black Friday. That's when I got mine. So I recommend you waiting around for a sale like Black Friday or Prime Day, something like that, and you can get it for about $350. The only other thing you need to get started is a cable that connects the solar panel to the power station. One end connects to the solar panel, and then the other end of the cable needs an XT60. This is what plugs into the back of the EcoFlow Delta 2. I'll also leave a link to this cable on Amazon. So with just the Colsun solar panel, the EcoFlow Delta 2, and the cable that connects both of them, you're unstoppable. All I did for my off-grid shed was I drilled a hole through the wall, I sat the solar panel on a little shelf outside, and then I plugged it into my EcoFlow Delta 2 inside. And I leave it plugged up all the time. If you live somewhere super cold or super hot, you might want to take the EcoFlow Delta 2 inside sometimes, because extreme temperatures are not great for the life of the battery. Double check me on this, but I'm thinking the user manual for the EcoFlow Delta 2 said that you shouldn't store it in temperatures less than like 14 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's kind of what I look for. If it's going to get down into like single digits, I'll bring it inside. So you're not supposed to use the Delta 2 if it's like below freezing. So I try not to do that as well. But otherwise, I just kind of set it out here and don't think about it. I just come out here, flip on my lights, turn on my heater, and get to work. It's plug and play, requires no extra effort or thought, and I really can't recommend it enough. So if you've been a little bit intimidated about getting an entry-level solar setup, I hope this clarified some things for you and made it simple. That's my goal, is to make this simple for you. Because whenever I was looking to power my shed off-grid, all the different solar setup videos were kind of overwhelming and kind of scared me away from doing it for a little while. So if you did find this video helpful, make sure you drop a like. Please leave a comment. I'd love to know your thoughts. And make sure you subscribe for more videos just like this. Thank you very, very much for watching.